First thing, I am not a professional. I'm a dedicated pet parent that spent a lot of time researching the best practices for giving your pet the best care possible. And in doing so, I came up with the idea of sharing my experience with a Weim puppy who has a sensitive stomach. If you're watching this video, you're probably researching Weimaraners, just like we did when we decided to get Baloo, my 4-month-old Weim puppy. In this video, I'm going to talk about his experiences with two major dry dog food brands, Diamond and Hills, also known as Science Diet, and hopefully save you some time. When we started reading about Weimaraners, we discovered that it's pretty common for them to have sensitive stomachs. So I spent a lot of time reading about wet and dry dog food, customer experiences, how little the FDA regulates dry dog food, which is a topic for another time, but eye-opening to say the least. The first thing I found was that all companies have had a recall at some point, every single one. The main thing to keep in mind is that larger companies usually have better practices, fewer recalls for the most part, the ability to hire multiple nutritionists, and generally just much more to lose, so they hold themselves to a much higher standard than some of the smaller companies. The other thing, and I hear this often from various dog owners, is that cheaper dog food contains less protein, so their animals, especially high energy or sporting class dogs like Weimaraners, have to consume more of it, and in the long run it doesn't end up being cheaper. So when we started to try to figure out what we were going to feed Baloo, after all the research that I mentioned, we had it narrowed down to a few brands. At the top of the list was Diamond brand, and when it was recommended to us by a longtime Weimaraner owner, we decided to give it a try. So we started Baloo out on the Diamond large breed puppy food. Right away, we immediately noticed extremely soft, light-colored stool. Not good, which prompted even more research. 3 or 4 days later, and only 3 or 4 days into him being on an entirely dry dog food diet, we also started to notice large red hives, most noticeably on the hairless parts of his belly, but also on his back and head that cause raised spots under the fur. So after hours of reading ingredient lists and common Weimaraner allergies, we were pretty confident that it was something in the food. One common Weimaraner allergy is to corn and corn byproducts. And it turns out that whole grain corn is the second ingredient on the Diamond puppy food ingredient list, followed by wheat flour. Now the version of Hills that we use does have corn products in it, but it's not a prominent ingredient. As a matter of fact, the second ingredient on the Hills list is whole grain wheat, followed by whole grain oats. Another thing that stood out when comparing ingredients list was with Diamond, the first ingredient was chicken byproduct meal. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds gross. The first ingredient in Hills, chicken meal, not chicken byproduct meal. We can't be sure what was causing Baloo's allergy, but those two things stood out to me when comparing brands. So we immediately switched to Hills, which Baloo loved. Whether your dog will eat it or not is always a concern. And within 48 hours, we noticed the swelling of the hive start to recede. His stool was no longer runny. It actually had a shape, became soft, but firm enough to hold together when scooped. And the color went from light tan to chocolate brown. Absolutely perfect poop. Soon, the hives went away completely, which we haven't seen again. And he just glistens. He's so shiny that he's constantly getting remarks when we're in public. So if your Weimaraner or dog of any breed is having sensitive stomach issues, I highly recommend giving Hills a shot. I'll provide a link in the description to the specific food that Baloo eats, large breed puppy chicken and oats. If you found anything of value, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more of Baloo the Weim and get more tips for caring for your pup, hit the subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching.